So rule ambiguity isn't a bug, it's the feature. It's how the system maximizes control elasticity, deterrent power, and its ability to transfer risk. In this ambiguous zone, the system decodes your behavior in a special way. Some neutral-seeming actions become red flags. Your behavior. You constantly seek written clarification and pre-approval for everything. System decodes. This person is trying to transfer their personal risk from the ambiguous rules back onto us through paperwork. High-risk aversion inclination. Unwilling to shoulder the gray zone burden. Probably not leadership material. The more you seek a black and white get out of jail free card, the more you look like you're trying to evade the core duty of taking charge. Your behavior. You and a few colleagues start building your own informal rule interpretation group, figuring out what really flies around here. System decodes. They are building a parallel, unofficial norm-setting system, a shadow legislature. This folk wisdom weakens the control of official ambiguity. It will trigger a correction. Your behavior. You publicly cite a past case to justify your current action. But the Shanghai office did this last year and got praised. System decodes. This individual is trying to precedentize our discretion, trying to force us into consistency, which limits our future handling flexibility. The system is deeply wary of anything that turns its ambiguous rules into a common law that eats away at its core freedom. In an ambiguous rule field, your craving for certainty can itself be read as an instability to be managed. With ambiguous rules, the system has a vast menu of outcomes for any single act. Its choice isn't about right or wrong, it's about macro control. Path 1. Exemplary clemency. The carrot. For a boundary testing act that worked out well, or from a high-value player, the system can say, given the good intent and outcome, we'll let it slide this time. This rewards daring to risk for the system, while making clear this clemency is a gift, not a precedent. System logic. Demonstrate benevolent autocracy. Encourage useful ambiguous zone behavior, but keep everyone grateful for and fearful of its unpredictable grace. Path 2. Retroactive tightening. The stick. When a behavior in the gray area spreads and creates risk, the system can suddenly announce, based on a new understanding of our spirit, X is now forbidden. And it might retroactively review past actions. System logic. Execute flexible policy iteration. Change the real rules without changing the written ones. Blame the change on your lagging understanding, not the system's whims. Path 3. Asymmetric accountability. For the same gray area action, the system can crush Department A while giving Department B a pass. The standard isn't the act, but Department A's political capital or the need to rebalance power. System logic. Political risk management. Ambiguity lets the system turn technical issues into political tools. Accountability becomes a lever for power games, not error correction. A core insight from classical systems thought is this: supreme authority isn't built on knowing and doing everything. It's built on monopolizing the power to define and the power to interpret. Clear rules give away some of that power to the text itself. Ambiguous rules ensure the final definition of right and wrong is forever suspended from a higher personal will. This state of suspension creates pervasive, continuous uncertainty, and that uncertainty is the soil where absolute authority grows, because the only source of momentary certainty is the center holding the discretionary power. Translated to modern systems, modern orgs, especially in tech and finance, face a paradox. They need to encourage innovation and agility, but also maintain control and avoid risk. Clear rules kill agility. No rules kill control. Ambiguous rules are the strategic solution. They create a controlled chaos field. You get nominal freedom to act, but you're placed under a dynamic rationality assessment framework defined unilaterally by the system. Control upgrades. It's no longer about regulating your behavior directly. It's about holding the ultimate right to judge the rationality of your explanation for that behavior. It maintains flexibility at the action level, but ensures absolute control at the level of thought and interpretation. This is meta-control. It doesn't control your hands. It controls your right to define what your hands were doing. From a pure mechanism perspective, in an ambiguous rule field, your logic must shift from compliance thinking to risk signal management thinking. See ambiguity as a resource allocation method. Don't fight it as an obstacle. It's the currency the system uses to dial internal attention and risk-taking up or down. Your job is to sense. Right now, is the system releasing ambiguity to encourage exploration or tightening it to lock down after a scandal? Distinguish interpretive trend from discretionary privilege. You can study past rulings to sense a direction, but never ever treat them as reliable rights. The system keeps the right to say, this time is different. Your safety margin must always include that possibility. Manage your explanatory capital. Your trust, reputation, political capital, that's the currency you spend in post hoc explanation competitions. Every gray zone success adds to it. Every failure or controversy drains it. Manage it like a budget. Don't overdraw it on low stakes or high risk plays. We're not ending with a checklist to clarify ambiguous rules. We've revealed that the ambiguity itself is the active design. Understanding this is the leap from being a passive rule follower to an active system translator. This framework gives you a decoder for ambiguity. It stops the frantic search for clear answers that don't exist. It starts you asking, what behavior is the system trying to guide or suppress with this particular ambiguity right now? Where is the center of gravity of discretionary power? What new signal about the spirit was just sent via the latest reward or firing? You move from being a consumer or a victim of rules to being a translator of the system's subtle language. You're no longer managing compliance with the text. You're managing how your action might be narrated inside a dynamic political story. But this state of living in sustained uncertainty, constantly anticipating and adjusting to fit invisible standards, it shapes you. Over time, without a single direct order, you develop a complex internal review process. You preemptively veto options that just feel wrong. The ambiguity of the external rules ultimately internalizes. It becomes a clear, strict rulebook written in your own mind. And that is the gateway to the next, deeper layer of the control mechanism. The topic of our next analysis, L3-19, why you start self-censoring. Until then, here is the one actionable, rational insight to take away. Rule ambiguity is how systemic power preserves its ultimate agency. You are always dancing in the dark. The switch for the spotlight is never in the dancer's hands. Your best move isn't to stop dancing. It's to learn in the darkness to listen for the most subtle breath of the one who holds the switch.